Well, while we're waiting for people, one thing I did want to give a shout out to Burbank too. I don't know if this was an isolated example at a show, but having bars right outside the room was nice.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, nothing encourages some easy wheeling and dealing like a couple cocktails.
Yeah, nothing encourages some poor spending decisions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, certainly this wouldn't qualify as one of those, but man,
Is that a real auto on there?
it's very much not a real auto.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Can you read the back again? Hey, what's up, Shelly the Turtle? What does the back say?
Well, sure. There are features of the card guard baseball card holder, such as its pure vinyl for clarity. There's new lay flat characteristics, so there won't be any bowing. And of course, there's the 1/2-inch lip for easy insertion.
That's a little safe for work right there.
Yeah, I'm not even. I don't know. I don't know what. Maybe Griffey didn't even know what he was putting his name on. Who knows?
Yeah, it's a cool picture. All right.
It is.
Hey, Lucky Peter card collector, welcome.
Oh.
Yeah,
Good.
so we've got a lot to talk about, especially as it pertains to the Burbank show of Anaheim, as it were.
Yeah. Nobody just wants to be from Anaheim anymore, do they?
No. Oh, Cabo cards. Nice.
Oh. Yeah, I think Cabo cards is very interested in what our pickup was. Got on Instagram, so hopefully we won't keep them waiting too long, but we may milk it for a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna milk it for a little bit. Hey, what's up, Aaron? There were a lot of cards there.
There were a lot of cards at the Burbank show. And it just it leads you to really contemplate what rarity means,
Exactly.
I mean, anything about vintage, but I mean, I would have had no problem taking home 25 Hank Aaron rookies, maybe 52 Mickey Mantles. The only thing stopping me was obviously the fact that I don't have that much money.
Yeah, money seems to be the rarity when it comes to those cards, right? That's the separator. Well, everybody, welcome to Blabbin on YouTube. We're here blabbing about slabbing this week. We're going to talk about our experience at the Burbank show, as well as our biggest pickup that Chris and I have made to date. You can let us know if you think we're crazy. Probably.
No, for sure. I mean, there's a level of craziness to this whole endeavor.
Yes. But first, let's talk a little bit about the show. So I'll preface this by saying that neither Chris nor I have ever been to the Nationals, so we don't really have a basis of comparison for large-scale shows. But the Burbank show is by far the biggest show that either of us had ever been to. There were a lot of tables there, a lot of people, and a lot of cards.
Yeah, I had heard people talking about the National, how there wasn't any carpet and everyone's feet were hurting. So I do appreciate Burbank selecting an event space that did have carpet. And special shout out to the PSA booth that had that really thick. I went down there and just stood on it for a little bit just to sort of break.
I tell you, that was the nicest 20 minutes I spent was waiting in the PSA line on that 3-inch carpet. That was pretty great.
Yes. Did you have any other thoughts while you were waiting in that line, Jeff?
Yes. As I saw all these people ahead of me handing over their big piles of plastic and cardboard, while I'm waiting with my own pile of plastic and cardboard, I was just astounded at the nerdity of it all.
Yeah.
We fit right in.
Yeah, and all kinds of cardboard cards in that line. There was Pokemon, there was Disney, there was Star Wars. People just grading everything. I think people were grading their Little League cards.
And you see PSA just taking everything in. Just the money is coming into PSA. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. I know we talked to some friends down there, and we felt like tag grading. I thought it was a little bit mean that Burbank put the tag grading people right across from PSA. And Tag's got a basketball hoop, and they were trying to do raffles, and they're cranking out music. PSA's got nothing, no music, no sounds, barely lights. And everyone just comes downstairs, goes to PSA, circles back around, right back upstairs.
Yeah, I did hear Rob talking about how next time they're not going to separate the floors. They thought it was initially a good idea, put all the big vendors downstairs, and that would create a lot of foot traffic for the tables down there. And it turns out it really did not. Everybody, like you said, they kind of it's kind of like that the Simpsons meme where he goes into the bar and takes his hat off, puts it right back on, and heads out.
Yeah, but first he drops off all his dorky cardboard.
Yes. He's got to wait in line on the very thick carpet, drop it off. So it was great that they had that ability again, just like they did last time. The PSA you could drop off in person. It saves you money, and it also saves you the little bit of stress for that extra trip through the U.S. Postal Service.
And it also seemed like the stuff we dropped off is getting like scanned in faster than the stuff. I know some people that have mailed stuff in and it's arrived but not scanned in. And our stuff we dropped off Friday, and I think it was in the system. You tell me, when was it in the system?
Saturday.
Yeah.
So you definitely leap over a few steps. And I know I was one of those people who sent in, I want to say the end of May, I sent in a bulk order, and that didn't get checked in for about 23 days, I want to say. So late June, it got checked in. And this bypassed all of that. So, I guess it helps that PSA is right down the street, literally down the street from the convention center. So there was a lot of shuttling back and forth. We didn't have any big cards, so we didn't get the same show service, which some people did. If they wanted it next day or by end of show, it was easy enough to do there. We just didn't have big enough cards to warrant that.
Yeah. I know we had some big cards. We didn't have any huge cards. We had nothing that warranted a $1,500 grading fee for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool to meet some people, to put some faces to names. Like we got to meet Cardboard Showcase.
Yes.
Guy talk about some of the stuff that he picked up, which was fun to see.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who came up and recognized us. We were wearing Braves and Brewer jerseys, so we were pretty easy to recognize. Shelly, curious, did you guys grade the Devers Clear?
Yes, we did.
It's
probably a 7, but we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky at an 8, but I think it's probably a 7.
Probably. Those clears are so tough.
Yeah, it's been in the pack, just rubbing and rubbing and rubbing.
Yeah, but it was great to, like you said, put the face to the name. We got to hang out with Jake a little bit. Thanks to Kevin and Ryan for coming up and saying hello. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, it was kind of funny when Short Print a Day on Instagram like waved and said, Chris. And like, I'm just looking at this tall person waving at me, but I have no idea who it was. And I could see in his face that he then realized, he's like, oh, it's Jake, Short Print a Day.
Right, yeah. Because he's seen our mugs on this screen, but we didn't recognize him. But he's hard to miss because he's a tall guy. So
yeah. The only other person I was spotting from further away at the show, I think Jalen Rose was walking around for a while. He was very easy to pick out of a crowd.
Yeah, there were some athletes that stood head and shoulders above the rest, which has to be nice. Although I do have to say, another shout out I want to give to Burbank Cards is the carpeted floors you mentioned, the bars outside.
Yes.
The space between the aisles was awesome. There was a lot of space. So even when it was crowded, you didn't feel like you were constantly being bombarded. Even on Saturday, we were there Friday and Saturday. And Saturday, the crowds were bigger for sure, but it still was easy to navigate.
Yeah, we were in Ontario. It was definitely narrower. A lot of, you're always constantly feeling like someone could be their hands in your pocket or they could be touching your bag or whatever. But there was nice wide aisles this time. It's very nice.
And after hearing the horror stories about the people in Chicago at the National, which we heard a great quote today or at the show, and somebody told us they felt like they were entering hell when they entered the room. Hello from Japan. Welcome.
The air conditioning in Anaheim was pumping.
It was not an issue. It was ice cold in there, which was great.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of good things, even besides the cards and the vendors. I appreciated all those things. Of course, from a dealer perspective, it's hard for us to really know how they did. I'm hoping they did well so that people come back and do it again.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. I felt like you and I, we went through the whole show on Friday after 2 cocktail breaks. Again, props to the bar for being out there. Mm-hmm. And I thought we identified, we were looking for a big Freddie Freeman card, and unfortunately, we really didn't find anything that that fit what we were shooting for. But we identified what we thought were like a handful of the best baseball cards in the room, like stuff that we were kind of interested in, but weren't sure we were going to pony up the cash for it. And then into Saturday, all those cards were still there, which leads me to think either the big money baseball buyers weren't there, or you and I don't know what the hell we're doing.
Or both.
It could be both. It could be a little from column A and a little from column B.
Yeah, there was a lot of vintage there, which you and I haven't really dabbled in, so it's hard to say what good deals or expensive prices on vintage. But what we were looking for, it was. You're right. It was surprising the lack of specifically that stuff, Freeman stuff, super short prints, stuff we were really looking for. And especially in Southern California, we thought there would be a lot of Betts and Freeman cards.
For sure. Do you remember that one dealer, or I guess he had a couple tables? There was a group. They said they came up from Atlanta.
Oh yeah. And
they literally looked us dead in the eye and said, "Oh, we left all our Freddie Freeman stuff in Atlanta."
They had one card and they had sold it. They said, "Yeah, we have a lot of Freeman cards, but we left them at."
We were just like, "What? What? What are you thinking?"
Fly across the country, you bring 3 tables worth of stuff, and you don't bring one of the most popular players that played in your city that is now in the city of the show.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. It doesn't make. I almost think the guy had to just be lying, because that just doesn't make any sense.
Or they just had really low end stuff, which I guess that's why they would leave it at home.
Yeah, I mean, but even that, I bet. I mean, I was asking people about Freeman's, and I saw some dollar box cards of Freeman even get scooped up. So I mean, I don't know if, who knows.
I guess so. So just to finish that thought, I'm surprised at both the lack of cards that we were looking for that were there, and the availability of those cards throughout the entire time we were there. So the handful that we saw and were kind of talking about or considering, they were all there by the time we left.
Yeah, which means they survived 3 full days.
Yeah,
maybe there were deals on Sunday. I don't know. I will say one of the coolest cards I did get to see, I saw 2 awesome Acuñas that I thought deserved a shout out. One guy had the update clear rookie in like a BGS 9.5, which is pretty incredible.
Right, getting a 9.5 on a clear.
That was awesome just to see. And then there was another like auction house that had, I think they had, the price tag on this card was $100,000, but they had a red sapphire Acuña rookie in a PSA 10, which is probably the most beautiful card I've seen in person in my life. Just spectacular.
Did you get any pictures of it?
I did not. They actually, I don't know if he had it in a case, but like he had stuff on top of it. So I had to like ask if I could see it. He was not taking it out of the case, like for people to handle or look at. I should have taken a picture, but I didn't.
Yeah, there was some amazing stuff there. We got to see a glimpse of Honus Wagner, the T206. I think it was a 2.5, so I don't know what that was worth, like $2 or $3 million. That was pretty cool to see.
Cardboard Showcase. Yeah, right. And the price is that guy. If you know the dealer I'm talking about, he had all the Devers and some Soto and some Guerrero. Like his case was one of the more reasonably priced cases that I think we saw all weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're thinking. Like, just for an example, the WBC Trout Ohtani striking out Trout card from Topps Now, which you had a couple of.
Yes.
Correct. The red Acuña is not our new pickup. That's been routinely selling online for about $100 to $120, give or take, right?
Yeah.
It's not super rare. It's a liquid card. You can track the sales super easily. We saw 2 different dealers with that card in their case priced at $200.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't.
Or even the Ohtani Mega Box.
Yeah.
WBC.
That's right.
That was $2,500 somebody had in there. It's been going consistently for 16 or 17.
Yeah. I don't get it.
What's up, Bowman Brent? Welcome. Shelly, it's hard to say about being overpriced. I think so, but I mean, a lot of the dealers, I know they were pricing cards high because they want some room to deal. But yeah, if you're at 200% of comps, it's hard to even start a negotiation there.
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides. Like, they're paying to be there. They're paying for the table space. So maybe they want to charge like a small premium, but also like the number one sales platform is eBay, and eBay takes like 15% right off the top of all your sales. So here we are in person with a lot of cash and friends and family Venmo deals. You would think that would just kind of even out. At minimum, that should even out.
Yeah, and that's kind of
But
what we were hoping to find, a table or two like that, especially being in Southern California. You'd think some dealers, some local dealers who didn't have to pay to fly across the country for a change and could just drive, would just try to undercut the market a little bit, and they would sell out their table. And maybe some did, and we just happened not to see it. But yeah, the table that you're mentioning, there was a really cool table with a lot of modern stuff, and the prices did seem pretty reasonable.
yeah, they definitely seem reasonable. Yeah, we don't need any more Guerrero, and I'm physically withholding or stopping myself from buying any more Devers cards.
Yeah.
It hurts, but you have to draw the line. We have to draw a line in the sand and hold ourselves to it.
Yeah, I think that there were a lot of deals going down. There was a lot of cash being thrown around. I could not believe the volume of wax that some of these places brought,
Oh
especially
yeah,
ship it. There were a lot of wax there. So I wonder how that did overall. It'd be interesting to hear some of the dealers from their perspective.
yeah. I saw Shelly the Turtle's asking if we think it's worth the time, effort, and money to make a pilgrimage to one of these big shows. I've heard, I would say 80% of the people I spoke to about the National were very happy that they went. They enjoyed the experience. I mean, I would say you and I are very happy that we went.
And especially considering that we didn't really buy any cards.
We
We
didn't
didn't
buy,
spend
really
money.
buy. No, we actually we came home with more money in our pockets than we left with.
We did. Yeah, we went to a trade night, which was great. We were able to sell quite a few cards. But no, it was an absolute blast. It was a really good time. One of my favorite hobby times for sure. And like I said, we haven't went to the National, so I can't really compare it to that. But it was really cool being able to go to a show 2 days in a row, the trade night in between, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I think I would say it's worth it to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna. There was a trade night after the show at the convention center, and then what we saw online. Eventually, Jeff and I had to tap out about 9:30 or so. You and I finally called it a night, but I guess it kept going.
Yeah.
And then we saw online that the trade night just shifted over to the hotel, like to the Marriott. And I guess they were going there like after 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and that's what I had heard about the National too. Every hotel ended up having sort of their own little trade night, and that was a lot of fun because, like I said, Chris and I were able to unload a couple of our cards for good prices for the people buying them, but we got cash in case we were going to buy another card the next day. So that was fun.
Yeah, yeah. I also want to say before we actually got into the show, it was very funny. There was another big event. There was like an anime convention there, so there's like a line of people dressed up in full cosplay to go to this anime thing, and then a bunch of people dressed up in the line in a different direction going into a baseball card show.
Everybody with their cases, backpacks. Yeah.
Yes, it was just that is a fantastic sort of worlds colliding type moment. It was really interesting. I think everyone in our line was looking down, sort of like condescendingly at the anime people who were walking past us, looking down at us.
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Both lines are like, what a bunch of dorks in that line.
Yeah, yeah, what a bunch of losers these guys are. But
Yeah.
that was funny to see. I did ask one couple to take a picture with me, which I put on my story. I'll post it up again sometime. It was pretty great.
Yes, there were some awesome costumes. It was fun to see that. I would have had a lot of fun going into that show just to see the people in costume. But I was asking Chris like what they do there. Is it do they sell cards? Do they sell other things? Is it just to meet up and wear costumes? I don't know.
We have no answer. I have no answer whatsoever. But I will say I am not making this up. I swear to God, this actually happened. We got like toward the front of the line on Saturday, and Saturday was pretty hectic with the two lines. It was very busy, and a guy about 15 spots in front of us, we couldn't hear, but we saw him like gesturing with security, and then kind of throw his hands up, and then he turned, went over, and got in the other line. So we're like,
He had waited for a good hour in the wrong line,
bro, it's very
surrounded by people in baseball jerseys and sloppily dressed, and and yet he's he missed the line with all the people in costume.
Yeah.
That wanted to go. I felt bad for the kid, but man,
He must have watched at least like 35 Asian girls dressed as Sailor Moon, like walk past us in the other direction and think,
where did you think they were going? Yeah.
like, that was funny. I almost wanted to like ask that guy, but then again, I just didn't want to interact with him. So
yes, and you might have gotten shot. All right, we've got a couple questions here. Mike says, I saw a raw copy of the Mantle Griffey Upper Deck auto that was all chewed up, probably a 1 or 2, and he wanted $13K. I remember we saw one of those, right? But I don't think we saw that one.
It may have been. I don't remember the price. We also saw that other table that had a stack of the Ted Williams autos.
Yes, okay. The stack of Ted Williams.
That was impressive. And then one table had the one out of score. It was either 91 or 92. That I think was like Musial, like Stan Musial, Mantle, Yastrzemski, or I forget who the three guys are, but I'd never seen that card in person before. That was really cool.
One thing I didn't see in person that we saw at the Ontario show was the Frank Thomas no name on front.
Yes. Yeah, there was a dealer at Ontario that had the no name on front and the George Bush Yale card.
Yeah.
Had a tops. But
we have two of the Frank Thomas, in fact.
Yeah.
Kevin Cards, what percentage of the cards at the show were baseball? Was it more football, basketball? It was definitely football heavy. It was football heavy. There was also a lot of basketball. I would say baseball was probably third, unless you're looking at strictly vintage. The strictly vintage was mostly baseball. But one thing I was telling Chris while we were going through it is that it was a little bit of a relief that not every table was baseball, because there was already so many cards to look at. And I felt like, okay, my eyes get a brief break as I don't have to look too hard as we cross these football tables.
Yeah, after like 2 hours, my neck was like sore from just like staring down. But yeah, I would say if you put a number on it, maybe 20% baseball, 25% baseball.
I'd say, yeah.
Maybe a little higher, maybe 30% baseball, something like that.
But then if you talk about, say, modern baseball and take modern baseball, maybe half of that. And if you don't count Ohtani, maybe a third of that.
Yeah, there was a lot of Ohtani there. And I'd seen some dealers definitely had priced their Ohtani and just totally ignored the UCL situation and did not adjust the price whatsoever.
It would have been a completely different show. It would have been a completely different show if Ohtani was still just chugging along like he did. Aaron Davies, I can't imagine being in Canada. Every show is 95% hockey. Yeah, there were a couple tables that were exclusively hockey, and I could see they had people around them all the time because there wasn't a lot of hockey there.
No, definitely. There were some really cool like Bobby Orr like rookies that have been signed.
Yeah.
That was cool to see. Some nice Gretzky stuff. Lots of Gretzky rookies. The Topps one especially. Tons of like low grade Topps Gretzky rookies.
Yeah.
Not that hard to find anymore. Speaking of that guy at security, I just wanted to briefly say, I mentioned in my story that I've known Jeff for a little over 10 years. Usually when people meet us, they like Jeff better. This is anecdotally, I'm fairly confident with this. There's like an immediate response to Jeff that is a net positive. Like no one says hello to Jeff and is like, oh, I got a bad feeling out of that guy. Everyone likes Jeff immediately. And this can be, while funny and beneficial, also occasionally frustrating. We were going in on Saturday. The security guard, literally, Jeff smiled and said good morning, and the guard just let Jeff go right through. I smiled and said good morning, and I was subjected to the most thorough, like, personal search that I have witnessed ever since my mom was basically raped in a Dubai airport like 5 years ago. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, they did have to take Chris to the side and do a full body cavity search on him.
Yes, full body cavity search. Like he opened up my little box and looked at the cards, looked at every zipper part of my backpack, like wanded me up and down about 3 times. I was just like, what? But yeah, it reminded me of this this Dubai TSA agent that really frisked my mom with some fervor and intensity. And my poor mom came through like all flushed. I say poor, but I'm not sure she hated it, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah,
may have been the Braves jersey.
No, the second day I had my Stadium Club shirt on.
Oh, okay.
I have a Braves jersey on.
anti-stadium club security.
Maybe the guy just hates Stadium Club. Maybe he's a Finest fan. You know.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a good. I feel like you were standing there for like 5 minutes. The line.
Yeah, my watch. Should I just go ahead? I'll meet you in there. I'll meet you after lunch.
Good Lord.
Yeah, but I think overall it was a really fun experience just to see all those cards. Oh, M. Parsons, Wisconsin charm. Well, I did get a lot of compliments on my Brewer jerseys, I do have to say. And Saturday, I went had my Yelich jersey on and my Yount rookie card T-shirt under it. Yeah, I got a lot of compliments about that. So there were some closeted Brewer fans there.
Yeah, there was that guy at the what auction house was it? Was it the Heritage?
Yeah.
Yes. The guy who just like he was like pushing submissions away so we could talk to you about Robert Yount, and then he had like pay stubs from the 81 Brewers team.
Yeah, they from their meal, their per diems.
Yeah.
Pay stubs. Yeah, but he like yelled across. He saw my Brewer jersey. He's like, "Hey, I don't get to talk to many Brewer fans." So yeah, some poor guy was trying to give him these hundreds of thousands of dollars of cards for Heritage, and he's just like, "Yeah, just wait a minute. I got to talk about Yelich for a second." That was pretty.
I just saw that someone said it. Yeah, someone said it looks like I'm from Shelbyville. I don't. That's not very nice.
What is that?
Shelbyville is the neighboring city to Springfield, where the Simpsons live. Their team is called the Shelbyvillians, and their town was founded on a belief that a man should be allowed to marry his cousin.
Oh, jeez, Aaron, that's cruel.
That's hurtful. That's hurtful.
That is cruel and unusual.
But anyway, I'll recover. Maybe. I don't
know. The entire bottom floor was, as we mentioned earlier, it was the major vendors, PSA, that's where Heritage was. That's where we got to see the Honus Wagner card. And it was also like the TCG, the trading card games. And what else was down there?
There was some weird stuff. There was like one vendor, and our friend Kai showed us this, that they were only there selling boxes to ship cards.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they paid to be a part of this, but I cannot imagine that they got a good return on their particular investment.
Yeah, their business was boxes to ship cards.
Yes. But yeah, there was also a BGS drop-off, and we kind of saw some tumbleweeds blowing by that one. I felt a little bit bad for those guys.
And there were some other grading companies, some of which we'd never heard of, and I don't know how they did.
Yeah, the guys in the pink suits, right?
Yeah, or the purple jacket.
Purple suits. That's right, purple suits. Yeah, because you said you heard them upstairs.
If anybody was there, remind me of the name. But I did see him walking the floor, and he was talking. Hey, what's up, Dwayne? He was talking to the different dealers and trying to convince them that they should try his business. And I could just see the looks of disgust and disdain on these dealers as they continue to answer the same questions, because he would say things like, well, why PSA? And they would say, well, that's the best resale value. And he'd say, well, why? Why can't another company do it? And they're saying, well, until they prove it, it's not worth it for me to send it. But why don't you give us a try? And it just kept going. And these poor dealers back there that are already dealing with enough crap had to put up with that. I thought that was a little tough.
Yeah, that was rough. I felt it was just awkward to listen to.
Awkward, very.
Yeah. It had kind of like a Jehovah's Witness type feel to it.
It was. Meanwhile, there's people looking at their cards and they're trying to give their attention to them, but they're still being asked these questions. And I get it. A salesman's got to sell, but yeah, it was a little awkward.
Yeah, it was kind of tough to listen to.
There were a lot of people buying.
Yeah, that was another interesting thing. Almost every dealer table said buying, and I was actually asked numerous times if I was selling anything.
Yeah. And
this one guy I was talking to said like he didn't even come to actually do much selling. He was there to try and buy up inventory.
Yeah, there were some people dealers that didn't even have anything there. They just were buying, and there was lines of people to sell. So I don't know what percentages they were going with, but seemed to get some liquidity into the market so people could spend. So I guess that's good.
Burbank was there buying downstairs, the Burbank shop. I would love to know what their total outlay was. I know we heard, I think Cardboard Showcase, some other people told us that they were paying about 60% of comps.
Yeah. And just from Rob's videos, they had dozens of triple shoes of new slabs and cards. So yeah, they've got a lot of stuff. I can't imagine what their outlay was.
Yeah, it must have been outrageous. But yeah, I mean, they were basically like an ATM machine down there.
Yeah. Cardboard Showcase. Wasn't there a group downstairs that was doing family trusts and wills? There sure was.
Yes, there was. Yes, there was. Yep.
Yeah. And Chris and I had some other ideas. He got a good idea from somebody else about a company that should have a booth there that doesn't. And that was
Dr. Scholl's. I mean, if they were giving out like samples of inserts or checking, having that booth there that some pharmacies have, you stand on and it tells you where your feet are gonna, like, they're not aligned or it hurts. I mean,
people were complaining nonstop about their feet, and this is even with the carpet. Yeah, I think a Dr. Scholl's booth would be outstanding.
Oh, they would have made money hand over fist.
Yep, Dr. Scholl's, right guard. I think the AC working really helped the overall level of body odor down.
Yeah.
There a few times it was overwhelming, but right guard would do well too.
Yeah, if they had whoever runs their air conditioning or keeps the air conditioning up and running, whoever their like I don't know, servicemen are, they should have had a booth there just to, because that was a fantastic advertisement.
Yes.
For air conditioning.
Yes, it was actually cold in there. We had to keep moving to stay warm. That was good. And any other thoughts about the cards that were there or the pricing of them?
No, I mean, I think we kind of, to sort of summarize, yeah, we didn't see. It was interesting what was and wasn't there. There was far more Guerrero than there was like Freeman or Betts. Tons of Ohtani, tons of like low end slabbed Ohtani, but priced a little bit too high.
Yeah. There weren't a lot of SSP Ohtanis though.
No.
Couple.
No, I didn't see any of the hitting. I saw a couple pitching, one Acuna vertical SSP. I mean, the super short prints, I know we talked to some people after the National, like, you just don't see that stuff. Even at these big shows, it's just not out there. A lot of it's in PCs, and it's just not coming up for sale. And if it does, it's really hard to price.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned Vlad, and if you don't have any Vlad, but you think he's a good long-term buy, it would have been a great time to pick stuff up. We already have too much Vlad. Yes, Kevin cards. No one wants Guerrero, unfortunately. Bard, were there cards you were on the fence about buying? You want to talk about one dealer specifically had a couple of really nice Betts cards, a couple of nicer ones in the room.
Yes. Actually, two different dealers had two Betts cards we liked.
Yeah.
One guy had, so Betts does not have a lot of rookie cards, and he doesn't have a lot of on-card autos, as we know. So this one dealer had his Heritage Real One rookie auto and his Stadium Club on-card rookie auto. And he had them both in PSA 10s.
Right.
Which is a little bit nuts. I think there's 80 some odd of the Heritage and only 5 of that Stadium Club.
Yes. And we have a Stadium Club auto, but we haven't even slabbed it. It's not great. It's a really cool card. It's him coming up, fielding a ball. It seems like a short print. The autos, they didn't have a lot of them.
Yes.
But it's a cool card. And there's only 5 gems because the back, especially of the Stadium Club, is really hard to.
Yep. And it's all dark.
Yeah.
It's all dark. I mean, we looked at it and like the edges looked perfect. It looked like a properly graded gem. I can't believe it.
Well, Kevin cards, I would say price was.
Yeah.
So the guy wanted $3,000 for the Stadium Club, and
$2,500 for the Heritage,
and $2,500 for the Heritage. So we were thinking, like our raw, we could get about $600-700 in value.
Yeah, I mean, on a good day, it's probably comfortably a $500 card.
Yeah. All right. So the question was having a gem 5 times the value, 6 times the value. It's great. It's a pop 5, but at the end of the day, it's still a Stadium Club auto, which.
Yeah, that's kind of where we were. Like the pop is super low. He doesn't have a ton of rookie autos, but down the road, whatever he does, it's still going to be looked down upon. There will be people that respect it and understand the rarity and the significance, but It is. It's a Stadium Club rookie auto, and I love Stadium Club. I was wearing a Stadium Club shirt, and even I was like, "Ah, seems like a lot." That seems like a lot for a Stadium Club.
Yeah. So for that, it was the price made it pretty easy to eventually walk away from it.
Easy to eventually walk away from is just
well. I mean, we saw it repeatedly.
yeah.
It was there. Nobody
Oh,
was
yeah.
buying. We talked to a couple other people that had saw it, had also seen it, and they said, "Yeah, 3K, that's a lot." So it seemed like the consensus was that was a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if it
And
didn't.
he was not budging.
No, he
Not
wanted that.
either of those prices. And I mean, I get it. He had the only 2 gems in the room.
Yeah.
And I was honestly kind of surprised that late Saturday when we were leaving, it was still there. I figured somebody would have shelled out the money.
Yeah, or somebody who comes with a trade, like maybe 1K in trade and 2K in cash or something. But the fact that it was still there, yeah, either meant he just was priced a little too high or he just wasn't getting.
Yeah.
He-
Another guy had 2 of the 2 update Mookie Betts Topps update Chrome rookie parallels. He had the gold and the black.
Yes.
Both in PSA 9, so the gold's to 99, the black is to 250. Who the hell knows why? Now I don't remember what he wanted for the gold, but the black he was at 3,500, I think, for the black, right?
Which didn't seem bad.
It's really hard. Those just don't sell. There's one up for bids currently on eBay, which we talked about with the guy. But I mean, it's 5 days away from being over, so how do you? Impossible to know. Do you remember what he wanted for the gold PSA 9? Because I don't.
I don't. No, I didn't ask.
I want to say it was either 1,500 or $2,000. But I mean, I feel like those two cards are pretty special.
Yeah, as far as his non-autos go, those are great parallels.
Yeah, and I think when you check back late Saturday, the gold was gone, right?
One of them, which one was gone? I can't remember. I think the gold was gone and the black was still there.
I think so too. I think that's right.
A couple comments here. Jorge, sounds like you wanted to show him off. Yeah, and I think that would seem to be going on quite a bit, showing off with not really intention to sell. Have a dealer willing to come down at all. Never understand pricing cards high with no willingness to come down. And that brings me to an interesting story that Chris will want to tell about a certain card.
Yeah. So our buddy Ethos Pitch asked me to look for good Bobby Witts. Looking for like some high value Bobby Witt. So one dealer had his first Bowman Chrome gold refractor auto, and it was in a PSA 9. Beautiful card. You can tell the centering was a little bit off, probably why at 9. So I messaged our buddy, and he's like, "Just give me. I'm just curious what the price would be." This was by far my favorite interaction with anyone that I had over the weekend.
So we had already moved ahead. We had already moved ahead, and so Chris is like, "All right, I'm going to go talk to him. I'll be right back. I'm going to get a price for Ethos."
Yeah. So I mean, like, this is his case, and the Bobby Witt is right in the middle. It's like one of the marquee cards. Great card. So I'm like, hey man, this Bobby Witt, like, what are you asking on that? Because of course there's no price tag on it. And the guy's like, oh, it's the other guy's card. So he calls him over. He's like, that Bobby Witt. He's like, oh, I actually just decided I'm not going to sell that card. I'm like, the card in your case, the card in the middle of your case at this show, you're not selling. It's just there. And he's like, no, I'm going to hang on to it.
So not even a price, not even like a high price. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, people are weird. People are strange. I just generally, I get wary whenever I don't see price tags on stuff. I feel like everyone has time to put some. I know, to be fair, a lot of dealers have it on the back, which is great. And then we did actually see a 2020 Mike Trout Red Ink Heritage Auto that was raw, and it did have the price tag, like in a white sticker on the front, right over the top right-hand corner. And then our buddy wanted to look at the card, and he opened it up, and that corner was like totally folded in half. So that's a little bit
right. Putting the tag on the flaw, that's really rough.
Yeah, exactly what Cava Cards is saying right there. Cool card, man. Like, nice.
Yeah,
cool. Nice show off card. I was also really interested. That dealer we talked about before had a Devers 2018 flagship SSP in a BGS 9.5 Min Gem. I think the 9 was on corners, which is not surprising. It was $900, which was perfectly reasonable for that card. Like, clearly priced. I like talking to that guy. I was really tempted, especially when we didn't find the Freeman we were looking for, or we were still looking at other bets cards. I was really, really tempted. But I think you pulled me, you dragged me away from that case, which I probably needed.
We just didn't. We didn't need that, and you certainly didn't need that.
No.
Jorge, it's different if they put a row for display only. I see it a lot for TCG shows, but then why have it there? Yeah, I agree. I know I've heard of people doing that too, having like a row for sale or not for sale. Sorry, but most of the time, even those they'll put a price on. Even you could, oh, it's $15K.
Yeah, I mean, there could be stupid money. There could be someone in there that's desperate for a huge Bobby Witt, and they brought $20K in cash.
Yeah. Yeah, would seem everything would have a price.
Yeah. But, okay, so we talked about we're looking for a big Freeman.
Yes.
We had a funny interaction where someone told us they saw this really cool Freeman card on Friday.
Pretty early.
Pretty early, too. They said they saw a Freeman Finest purple refractor auto rookie. So this is 2011, and that year the purples were numbered out of 5. So this is a crazy, crazy rare card, and it's super colorful. You all know the set, how great the set looks. So Jeff and I are like, oh my God, like we've got to find this card. So my buddy was like, yeah. It was toward the right, somewhere in the middle. There were 700 tables. Like, I felt like it was like looking off a dock and being like, it's in over there in those waves. Like you're just never. So we're like,
it didn't stop us though. It didn't stop us looking for it.
Well, after a while, it became like we had to track it down.
Yeah.
And I think we had that conversation at like 11 a.m. on Friday, and we found it at like 3 p.m. on Saturday.
Yes. So we came to the conclusion that it must be gone. Somebody must have bought it.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy thought it was the wrong card, but he remembered some specific details about his interaction with the dealer. So it seemed hard to believe that it didn't happen. Yes, but then I texted Chris because we had split up and he was looking a different place. And I said, any luck finding the Freeman? And right after I sent that, I spotted it.
Yes. I think I heard a shout come up like 60 yards east. that was you, like, ah!
So we found it, and then we went and talked to the guy, and it was not priced.
Yep. It was a PSA 8, which is not a deal breaker by any means, because there's only one graded higher. There's one PSA 9, which Jeff and I have.
Yeah.
So we were excited at the possibility of getting 2 of these 5 autos. It was one of his best rookie cards, I think.
And we should say something about the price too, because when we initially heard about it, what was the price that you had heard?
Yeah, our friend that saw it Friday said the price was $2,200.
Okay.
And then when we talked to the guy on Saturday, the price was $3,000.
Yeah, so we had heard the price was $2,200, and we were thinking, well, maybe we can. And he had told the guy, he's like, these don't come up. I don't know how to price it. I'm going to start high and go from there. So we thought, well, maybe we could work with them. Maybe take a cash offer somewhere around like 1,500 or something like that. So we kind of had that in mind, and then when we finally found it, mentioned, oh yeah, this purple card, and the guy's like, yeah, $3,000. So that immediately took a little bit of the steam off. Yeah, Jorge, it was about pride. We found the card, we'd heard about it, we found it, needle in a haystack, and then it was kind of like a quick.
And then I had a very funny interaction with him. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe you and I will talk about it. We could come up with a trade, or we could try to. So and I was like, do you have an Instagram for your cards? Oh no, I don't do that. Oh, okay. Do you have an email address? He again looked me dead in the eye and said no.
Well, he also made a funny comment when Chris said, well, do you have an IG or a Facebook? And he goes, no, I'm just a regular person like you guys.
That's right.
And he's like, then his wife or whoever was with him was laughing. And he's like, oh, I didn't mean, no offense meant. We're like, yeah, we're regular people, but we do have a card IG, so I think he was trying to say that he's not a professional dealer. He was just doing this on the side. But yeah, then he was a little bit cagey about any sort of contact info.
Yeah, that was weird. He did eventually give me his phone number.
Have you tried? Probably like some waste man.
Maybe like 3 a.m. I'll give him a call and see if he picks up.
You still have that purple Freeman?
But yeah, I forgot. He said, I'm just a regular guy like you. And you and I were both like, what? Tell that to the security guard downstairs.
Yeah. So we talked to him. We didn't end up getting that card. That was pretty much the premier Freeman. There was like a cognac Freeman we saw.
Yeah, 2 or 3 people had diamonds, the Topps diamond cards.
I guess he's used to the cameras following people, so he's just a normal person compared to And he wasn't. He doesn't have a website. That was the other thing Chris asked. Do you have a website? No, he's like, no, I'm just a regular person like you. So he could tell we didn't have a website. We didn't look. We didn't look the type.
There's a lot of people filming in there. There was a lot of people trying to get some content, and that was also painful to watch at times, like very cringy stuff.
Yeah. And there were a lot of setups and like, okay, well, they make this deal. Let me get a picture with all this money on the table first with this card. It was just, it was kind of.
Yeah. But so there was a card we almost bought, Jeff. Do you want to? You almost bought. I did not, but you almost bought it. You almost bought a big card.
You mean the one that I missed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who follow me at all, know that I mostly collect baseball. And when I first got back into the hobby, I was trying to collect basketball and football. A little bit. Football, I realized soon, was all about quarterbacks, so I wasn't interested. Basketball, I mostly got out of it. Yes, there's a lot of skits going on at the show. But I also collect Giannis Antetokounmpo cards because I'm a huge Bucks fan, and I started collecting them right when I got back in, and it was great because I was able to ride the hobby wave up. So I had a lot of cards of his that increased in value. So I've kept all those because I really like him as a player, and I like to still be collecting some Milwaukee players. So I've been, one of my goals at the beginning was to try to get a Prism Rainbow, and Prism in 2013, 2014, when he was a rookie, Prism didn't have quite as many parallels. I don't even know how many basketball parallels there are now. I think it dwarfs the amount of parallels there are in Topps Chrome.
I think I've heard the numbers are outrageous, but I
50, but back then it wasn't quite as high, and I managed to get a handful of the colors. There's one called the Silver Prism, which is like the refractor version for basketball. And I never thought I would get that card because by the time I wanted to get it, it really rose up in value during the pandemic blow up. But there were a couple there, and there was one there for seemingly reasonable price. Like I think he was priced based on the last. There was a sale in June, and price was kind of based on that. But there were more recent sales, and anyway, I saw it and thought about it Friday night, and then I told Chris about it, and I was like, I'm just gonna go right when we get there, make him a cash offer.
Yeah, in the morning, I remember you were just like, I decided I'm buying a card. I know Jeff and I did share a hotel room. That might upset one person. I doubt he's watching, but
yes, we saved money by sharing a hotel room, believe it or not. And the hotel was really close. I mean, it was like kind of a hotel, but it was right around the corner, so it wasn't the $500 a night Marriott that was attached, but for $200. The AC worked.
Yeah, the AC worked. The toilet worked until I destroyed it, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so in the morning we went out to this nice pizza place for breakfast.
Yep.
And yes, we get to the show, and
yes, we finally make it through the line. As Chris said, the line was pretty long. We had some adventures waiting in line and watched. We were pretty entertained during the wait. Once we got in, and now that I'm thinking about it, maybe had I went in right away instead of waiting for Chris to get his body cavity search, I could have got there in time. But I got to the table, and I knew it was the right table because it was the same table that had a Chris Bryant Superfractor. And right where the Giannis card was, the Chris Bryant Superfractor now sat. So I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, it was sold that morning. So I was close to getting it, and then that was kind of it was a little bit disappointing. It was hard to shake that disappointment. There were a couple other cool Giannis cards there, but they all were pretty overpriced. And so after near miss on that last one, I wasn't able to bring myself to even negotiate on those ones.
I didn't think about it, but yeah, I bet that my interaction, we'll call it that, with the security guard probably cost you that Giannis card.
Well, my wallet thanks you, but it would have been nice to add that to the rainbow. So yeah, that was the closest we came to purchasing the card, I guess, because I actually Money was going to make an offer. There was one other bets card that we saw in the room.
One other bets card that we saw in the room.
From seventh inning stretch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so should we get into the purchase, what we got beforehand?
Yeah.
Well, technically, fair,
breakfast.
but we did not have pizza for breakfast. They did have eggs on the menu.
They did have eggs. And M. Parsons, I like where you're going with this, but the line, yeah, I guess we could have gotten the line. The problem is the people. Yes, James, went to the Burbank show. Yes, so this is all happening at the Burbank show.
Yeah.
People involved, either with VIP passes or dealers, they're able to get in an hour early. So I feel like,
yeah, that's probably what happened. I bet a VIP buyer probably got in there and snatched it up.
Yeah. But yes, so let's talk about. So one of the big things we were gonna look for at the Burbank show was a big Mookie Betts card, specifically a First Bowman auto parallel.
Yep.
And we have a blue one, but we wanted to see if we could find a gold one.
Yeah, that was sort of our like big ticket item. We've been looking for one for a while, and we haven't really seen one come up for sale anywhere. And I thought there was one on eBay like super high priced.
Yeah,
but I did notice on Instagram, Seventh Inning Stretch had 2 of them in an Instagram story. So we messaged him and we kind of talked about like he's not far from us. He's down in Long Beach, so we're like, you're fairly close. Maybe we could make this happen. We show up with cash. Like, what's the best you could do? So we actually went back and forth, and we're like, okay, this price we think is reasonable for the card. Now, like, how do we make this happen? So we'd sell some stuff. Jeff and I had actually, just before that card hit our radar, we had just bought a Topps Chrome Update Gold Refractor Mookie Betts on eBay. And we had basically settled, like, this will be our big buy. This will have to do. Then Mookie went batshit crazy, like in the month of August. And we were actually able to successfully flip that card before we invested a nickel into grading it. We were able to flip that card and put it towards this potential other purchase. And I just want to be very clear, this was not some shrewd investing move that Jeff and I made. This was just kind of blind luck that worked out in our favor.
Yes. And it's we've talked about before, not necessarily buying into the hype. You don't want to buy when the player is really hot, and you can't get much hotter than the first 50 hit month in 80 years. But it also just so happened that we thought this might be our only chance to get the card.
Yeah. It also seems like as great as he was playing, like the hobby hype just still wasn't there.
True. Yeah, his cards didn't follow that.
No, he was still overshadowing him. So that was the thing that we talked about. Like, who's the main person that Ohtani is sort of covering up? And we decided it was Betts, whose WAR is pretty impressive. As great as Acuna's playing, Betts has a one WAR more.
Yeah.
One more WAR. Fun to say.
Yeah, it's his positional flexibility. He's just
yeah. So we sold our last mega box Ohtani gem.
Yes.
A chunk of it. I had a Ohtani carrying bag variation, which I admit I should have sold earlier, but I just couldn't decide what to do. But
still sold it. I mean, if the Ohtani peak was way up here and we sold our shared one here, still right.
I sold right around here.
Yeah.
So that. I was comfortably in the black on that one, which felt really good. And then I sold a card that's really hard to let go of, that Harper Topps Chrome image variation from 2013.
Yeah.
Award. But all that came together for me, for my hat.
We sold a Mookie smiling in the dugout.
I think you did. I think you sold one of those. That was just your...
Well, yeah. And then I had sold a bunch of cards DC through consignment. So we were able to scrounge up enough together and made a little road trip down to Long Beach.
Yep.
Right before the show. And
right before the show. So here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a min gem. You see, you got a 9.
Yeah, it's just absolutely phenomenal. I love this card. There's so much gold on there.
Yeah.
The signature is good.
The centering is great.
Yep. It's got a surface, so we will talk ourselves blue in the face about cracking this thing open and wiping it down.
Yeah, as you know, most of the surface issues are right around that auto spot. This one's not quite as bad because it's not silver. But yeah, you just never know. So there she is. So he also had the other card. He had the other gold at the Burbank show.
Yeah, same dealer had one.
Really,
Go ahead. Yeah, he had one of those, but we had a subgrade of a 10, if I remember. Also was a min gem. I think the 9 was on corners, but it had a 10 on something. So we decided we'd go with that one, which was a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Just because it looked great.
Yeah, we love the centering on it. Everything looks great.
It was weird to buy that. We bought that like I don't know, whatever, a couple days before the Burbank show. It was weird to make a big buy before we went to the show.
Yeah, but we thought like if he brings them both to the show, they might not be there. And in fact, we were kind of surprised that the other one was still there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still has it now, but that was by far the best bets at the show.
For sure, that was the best bet of the show. And here we are in Southern California, and Mookie Betts, the NL Player of the Month, is completing a 51-hit, 30 RBI month. The world of baseball hasn't seen since Joe DiMaggio.
Right.
He got the best Mookie Betts card at the show, and when we talked to him on Saturday, he had not sold it.
Yeah, and not only at the show, it's got to be a top 100 Mookie Betts card of all.
Yeah, I would certainly think so. Yeah, he just doesn't. He has so few autos. He has no on-card autos after 2014. Even with this Fanatics Topps deal, we still haven't seen anything yet.
Right. Yeah, James. I don't know if Betts is going to win MVP. It's Betts, Acuna, Freeman. I mean, those three have separated themselves, and Acuna and Betts, like I tell Chris all the time, we're witnessing two of the best leadoff hitters to ever play, and they're playing right now. That just the unparalleled production. So it's an exciting time to be a baseball fan. Whoever wins the MVP.
Yeah, I mean, I had a big argument with a couple of Braves fans, of which I am certainly one. But as of 2 days ago, if the season ended 2 days ago, I would say that I would vote for Mookie Betts. I think his season has been just a little bit better because he can play. I mean, I love Acuna. I think Acuna is phenomenal. He's one of the most talented players in the league, one of the best baseball players in the world. But I don't think he can play second base.
Yeah.
And Mookie can, and that's a huge deal.
It's going to be interesting because the most valuable player, I've heard all the arguments, James. Yeah, and MVP, there aren't any specific requirements. It doesn't mean best offensive season. It doesn't mean the player you think is going to have the best career or whose team is better necessarily. It's whatever that individual voter thinks is the most valuable. The most piece to a team in baseball.
Doesn't have to be a playoff team, you know.
No.
It can even be a closer, for God's sake. I mean, it should never be, but it has been.
It has been. I think the voting has moved beyond that, but
I think so.
And there's still almost a month left of the season, so a lot can happen. That Acuna Betts showdown in LA was awesome. Don't they play again next week or something?
Do they? I think they're done. I think they're done.
It was fun to see them head to head and two stars both putting on a huge performance.
Yes. As my wife said, if Acuna robs that 3-run home run in the first game, then maybe there's no debate.
Then he seals the deal.
There's a photograph that would exist that shows who wins the MVP, like the exact moment.
Stealing it from Betts. Belly, thanks.
I hope Acuna can get to 40. To get to 40 home runs and be 40, 70, or that would just be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, who knows? Maybe we could have co-MVPs would be great, but I don't even want to discuss it. And we got 4 weeks to go, so let's see where this finishes up.
And as baseball fans and as collectors, it's fun to have players that we like to watch play and players that we collect in the mix.
Yeah, I will also say, I'm just going to go back for one other thing at Burbank I want to touch on, and I heard it said about the National too, is the sheer volume of autograph cards that are out there.
Yeah.
Just thousands of autograph cards. Every year, every image, on card stickers, there's just autographs everywhere. Reminder, please be careful out there, everybody. Just because it's autographed does not mean it's valuable. It doesn't mean it's rare. Just be careful.
And the newest trend is very much IP autographs. J-Red's been playing out of his mind. Yeah, he's incredible. I didn't see what he finished tonight. Did he do anything else? Another 2 homers. Yeah.
Yeah, I was complaining to Jeff earlier. I'm in a fantasy baseball head-to-head semifinal, and the person I'm playing this week or to get to the final has both Altuve and Julio Rodriguez. So I feel like I've pretty much already lost. Like I'm just playing for pride now. I'm not going to compete with that. That's 9 home runs and like I think 12 RBIs between those two guys in 2 days.
Yeah,
that's a little bit
rough. Yeah, but as far as autograph goes, yes, there's a lot of on-card autographs from aftermarket, and I know it's a popular thing. I don't know. It's not hate to head. Yes, Kevin Cards, I'm there with you. It's not really my thing unless it's like you are getting the autograph in person. That's pretty cool because then you have a story about meeting the player and getting it signed. I don't know if I'm buying, say, a Ronald Acuna auto that somebody else got signed at a show or at the game. So I don't know if that can last.
No, I would say it means something for vintage because in those vintage sets, there were no top certified autos in the past. But now that there are top certified autos in every single box out there, I think modern in-person autos are, for me personally, I don't care.
And even some vintage wise, because there's the show circuit is so huge now that there's retired players have been retired 20, 30, 40, 50 years that have signed thousands and thousands of cards. So it's not like maybe a Babe Ruth on card auto.
Now we're talking, right? A 52 tiles Mickey Mantle with a signature. Yeah. I think I saw one Ernie Banks rookie card with an on-card auto, and that's awesome. Like that stuff is great. But you can't compare it to now because there's literally 25,000 of every rookie with an on-card auto, so it doesn't mean anything. I will say that this is a jumbo card that I very much, for my PC, am going to have these two guys sign at some point, either via signings or mail-in. And this is a great thing that I will keep and be excited about. But I don't know if I would expect anyone at a show to jump up and down about paying money for it. But I think it's going to be awesome when it's done.
Yeah, and I think I do think that's great. But even some of the all-time greats ended up signing a lot. Like if you think about Hank Aaron, all shows. So I don't know how much is. I saw a card that I liked at Burbank show. Hank Aaron hand signed Brewer card from 1975 Topps, but it was like $600. And I said, well, how many of those are out there? And Chris said probably more than you'd think.
Yeah, the card was also in really bad condition as well.
Yeah. And again, like if I had got that, it would be great. If I got to meet him and have him sign, I'd have him sign a Brewer card from when he came to the team in 75. And yeah, that would be really cool. But just buying it from somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw someone ask a question. How do we feel about Jason Dominguez? And coincidentally and fortuitously, Jeff brought his one Jason Dominguez card that he just recently got back from PSA to the show. And
I had one Dominguez that I traded for, I don't know, maybe a year or two ago. And it was his Sapphire rookie or first Sapphire. And it looked really good. So I sent it in my last sub, came back at 10, brought it with me to the show, hit that home run, and sold it at trade night for cash.
Do you remember what you got for it? I'm sure people would be curious to know.
I got $250 for it. So they had been like at the time of the sale, they were going for between like $300 and $350 on eBay. And the guy I said I wanted $300. He offered me $250, and I said, take it.
Yeah, I mean that's $250 in cash right there. That's perfect. When he hit that home run off Verlander in his first at bat, there was like a wave of voices at the show, like of acknowledgement of people seeing it and talking about it. You could hear it like coming across the entire showroom. As we're like, something definitely happened. Like, what is it? And then
first at bat off Verlander.
Yep.
The details. Yeah, Junior. It's his cards. He'd been kind of maligned in the industry since what is he still 20, maybe 21 now? He's still young, but he'd come to the team with so much fanfare that he just was. People were expecting a lot of him.
I have none of his cards. Full disclosure, I don't. I did However, when they announced he was getting called up, I picked him up in a fantasy league.
Same.
So I have nothing otherwise invested in him. So I wish him the best of luck. I hope he's close to what people think he's going to be or want him to be. But I don't know.
Sure need. Yeah, he was really hyped, and then I think he kind of just was mediocre at Double-A, right? Then he got promoted to Triple-A and did well, I think, for like a week, and then that's when he came up. Kudos, I figured for sure that it was all Yankees hype. Yeah, and it definitely was when he first got picked up. But I mean, when he first, yeah, well, he was an international signee, right?
I think so. I think it's actually, I hate to say this is going to sound weird, but I feel like it was a good move by the Yankees to promote him because they have had absolutely nothing but bad PR for the last like 6 weeks.
Agreed.
Just absolutely blasted. Their fan base hates him. Like they want Cashman gone. They want Hal Steinbrenner gone. They want Boone gone.
Which makes me think it was none of their decisions. I want to know.
Probably, yeah. There has to be someone smart somewhere in that front
George
office.
Costanza made the call to bring Jay up.
Let's just bring him up for a month. We'll sell tickets. People get excited about him. Yeah. They'll cover up a lot of the dumb stuff we've been doing for the last like 5 years, and it works. So good for them.
Hey, what's up, Nick? Yeah, you have to catch up. We talked a lot of Burbank show and our pickup. Well, never hurts to show it again. Here is our pickup.
Yeah, if you want to show it again, I'm just going to give people some sort of entertaining pop report stats on this card.
Okay.
So as you can tell by looking at it, it's his first Bowman Chrome Gold refractor auto. So it's numbered out of 50. BGS and BGS alone has graded that card 62 times.
62 times for BGS on a card out of 50.
Yes, and 7 at PSA, including 3 PSA 10s. But most amazingly, there's a card I've never seen. There is 1 black label. And man, I'd love to see it.
There's one. Nick, Scotty has his own of this card, believe it or not.
So, Scotty does. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of Mookie Betts that's going to get Scotty B too jealous at this point. Oh, funny. Okay, brief, sort of entertaining. I won't promise funny. Burbank card show story. A dealer had in his main case a first, I don't know if they were first back then, we'll just say, a Bowman Chrome rookie auto of Billy Butler.
Yes.
Sorry, a Bowman Chrome gold refractor rookie auto of Billy Butler.
What year was that? Like 2000? What year was that? 2006?
I was going to say 2002, but maybe 4. I don't know. But it was graded. Don't know why. I think it was graded a 9. And it was priced at $140, which initially you're like, well, that's not bad for a, I mean, when you look at the people whose first Bowman Chrome gold autos come out today, they're going to be like $600. But Billy Butler didn't have much of a career. He has his fan, and I say fan singular because Scotty B is that fan. So I immediately texted him. I'm like, dude, do you have this card? Because this is probably, arguably, the best Billy Butler card that exists. Like, and he actually said he does not have that one. So he wanted me to go make an offer. So I went over to the guys and was like, listen, I would you take $80 for that? And the dude said, if they're on consignment, let me make a phone call. So he made a phone call and he came back and he's like, I'm sorry, it's a firm 120. And I was like, I get it. And the guy actually said to me, he's like, I'll be honest, I don't know who this is. He had never heard of Billy Butler.
Yeah. Well, if that guy doesn't want to sell it, if Scotty B is the potential buyer, who is he going to sell it to then?
Yes, that's it. There's one potential buyer in this country, and he had that buyer looking at the card, and he didn't sell it. So I think that dude has taken that Billy Butler card to his grave.
Even Mrs. Butler would be like,
oh yeah, she talked Scotty up to like 90 and then sell it, but there would be no hard line.
Junior, you asked if we would rather have the BGS 9.5 or PSA 9. That's a good question. That's one we will discuss. It seems like Hosmer, Butler, Gordon, the Royals selling news for Scotty B and didn't want to do it.
Yes, the guy. I hate that guy. I don't want to sell it to him. Yeah, I don't know. I can't even wrap my head around it. That's an excellent question, though. BGS 9.5 Min Gem versus PSA 9. I think that's the question the hobby's kind of grappling with right now.
Yeah, and I think right now we're still at the point where the BGS gem holds a little bit of a premium.
I think a little bit
smaller.
Yeah, it's getting really, really small. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if you look at this, so there are 62 total at BGS. I want to say, I had this on my phone. The number of 9.5s was fairly high.
Mm-hmm.
But there's only 7 total at PSA with 3 10s. So there's definitely way fewer PSA 9s than there are BGS 9.5s. For whatever that's worth, I don't know. We know there's a lot of PSA purists that want nothing to do with BGS slabs. But then again, people see that 0.5 and they like the fact that it's called Gem Mint.
Right. Yeah, I guess the thing to do is to consider how the BGS reputation is going to carry forward from here.
Yeah. So I don't know. Odds are that card stays exactly where it is.
Probably. And we have other min gems similar. Bowman First, our other Mookie's a min gem, our other blue Mookie. And so far we've decided to just keep them all right where they are. But who knows?
Yeah, I really don't know. That's an excellent question. It's one that certainly Jeff and I will banter back and forth about. Yeah, I can't. Yes, James, I can't imagine cracking that. Jeff knows, like, I have extremely sweaty hands, not to get too personal. So I'm not allowed to touch any of the cards that we
It would be pretty cool to see this out of the case, though. It'd be pretty cool to see it.
It really would. So I'm certainly not going to crack it. Yeah, that just looks so awesome. It's such a great shot. And to see one centered that nicely is
kind of on those can be a little rough.
Yeah, it can be very rough. So Jeff and I were super excited. We did pay we paid both a steep price in dollars and in stuff that we sold to get it. But the advice we got from a couple people whose opinions I trust were that we will not miss, when you sell up to a bigger card, you're not going to miss the stuff that you sold. That's what we were told. And honestly, I really haven't thought about anything that I sold.
And we felt that way before too, like with the black Otani and with the blue Otani auto. There were some Wander cards there.
But James is asking if Wander cards were heavily discounted. And I'm going to say no. Some were discounted, but not 95% off by any means. Some guy had like a whole row of them in his case. And I was like, why would you even bring those? Like, I don't know who you're trying to sell those to. Like, unless Jared from Subway is walking around looking for a player to invest in, no one is buying those cards.
Yeah, that guy had a lot of them in there. Maybe it was just like his penance. He felt like he had to put all these in and just... that's how he's going to learn his lesson about not prospecting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was just hoping people out of pity might just throw him a few dollars. I mean, I have no idea.
Jorge says, when I sell stuff for a bigger card, I take a picture because you'll forget what you even sold for the bigger card. Yeah, I get that. And like Chris said, trying to get into a huge bets card who doesn't have a lot of big early cards. It's not like the guys in 2020, 2021, even 2018, even Soto, Acuna, Otani have a lot more big cards.
They do, yeah. Acuna and Soto have a pretty big rainbow of first Bowman autos for sure. Some guy was selling 20. I bought them for 99 cents. Yeah, you're just paying. If you're buying Wander Francos for 99 cents, you're just paying for the top loaders. Yeah. Or perhaps you're buying the Ken Griffey Jr. card guard. That was recently, or not, it was coming out in like, I guess the 90s, mid 90s. That was the thing. I don't know.
Card guard.
But yeah, so our plan, we brought some Freemans with us to sell. If we found a big Freeman, we figured we'd be able to flip the littler ones. But the purple one is nice, but we were thinking first Bowman Chrome is better. Just because the purple is the kind of card you have to explain to people what it is. And
right. Most people don't associate purple with being out of 5.
Exactly. But they know Finest is cool. They know it looks great. The auto was really bold and right in the middle. But everyone knows what the Bowman Chrome rookie auto is.
We did sell one Freeman. It was the other Finest, Finest red refractor that we had. And that was one been trying to decide what to do with because it's a beautiful card.
Yeah.
Non-auto, red out of 25.
Auto.
Red auto out of 25, but it had a corner, like a dinged corner. And we bought it in a package, like a lot of cards. So when we got it, it was a little surprising that this corner was bad, but it was one you couldn't tell really in pictures. It was hard to photograph.
Yes.
So we didn't know what to do. We didn't want to get it graded, but we also were hesitant to sell it because even if you explain it to someone, the possibility of getting it returned.
Yeah, we didn't sell it online. So we figured at trade night there, we put it out and people can see it with their own eyes and know exactly what they're getting. Because we don't want to be those shady people that try to sneak damaged cards by other people.
Right. And there was a recent sale, which was good to see. The recent sale was like $1,200, or I can't remember what it was.
1050, 1100, something like that on eBay. So I figured that seller took home about 940, 950, something in that range. Yeah. So we ended up taking a $500 cash offer on that, which I was, at the end of the day, that's great. The dude looked at it, saw the corner. The surface was also kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But we were able to sell it for more than we paid for it. So that's
beautiful. Nice. Sense well, but that's one of those that's nice to sell in person. He got it. He was really happy with it for what he paid for it. And we were happy to get some money back that we can hopefully put towards a bigger Freeman.
Yes, exactly. And amazingly, I have to say that $250. So we each had $250 now in cash in our pockets. And then we walked around that show and we didn't spend it, which I don't want to give myself a medal, but I was pretty pleased. I was very happy with our ability.
Yeah, and if you would have told me going into the show that, all right, you guys are going to go to the show, you're going to be on your feet for 15 hours, walk around, your neck's going to be sore, and you're not going to buy any cards, you're going to say it was a good show, I would have said, well, that sounds kind of rough. But I had a blast.
Yeah. James, thank you for the compliment. Good discipline.
Oh, yes, appreciate that.
Because it's amazing how when you're looking for one thing, you don't notice other things. So when there's cash in your pocket, suddenly your eyes really do start to dance around from like card to card, and you start to see things that, well, I could afford that today. I have that money. But you have to be like, I didn't sell that Freeman to buy this. Like that's
a C-3PO metal dong card. Although that was tempting.
Okay, that's actually a really interesting point, Jeff. There were more of the C-3PO erection cards than there were like Freddie Freeman autos.
Yep.
Comfortably. I think we saw over 10 of those. That's C-3PO card.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Yes. Or I would say even more than Mookie Betts autos. Maybe even combined.
Yeah, I think combined. Yes, definitely combined.
James, what was the best food? Well, I'll tell you, Chris and I had 2 meals while we were there. One at the Cheesecake Factory and one at the local pizza for breakfast joint. And both times we had omelets.
Yes.
And great. Probably because I was so hungry.
Yeah, I don't want to turn this into an anti-Cheesecake Factory video, but I'm not a fan of that place. But it was near to the convention center. They have a ton of food and they had a bar. So I figured they'd have we're leaving right as the Braves-Dodgers game was ending. So I wanted to see us good. So we went to the bar and we sat there, and you know, it's minute 10 of sifting through their menu of mediocrity. And there in the back, they have like omelets. And I'm like, well, they can't, someone has to be able to do this properly.
And I'm glad Chris kept looking, because I just picked something on the first page because I was so hungry and I didn't have the patience to look through their entire phone book of a menu. And then Chris ordered the omelet. I'm like, yes, actually, I'll take that too.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, for those of you who are interested, omelets go really well with straight bourbon at 10:15 on a Friday night. So I highly recommend the combination. The bartender definitely looked at us like we were out of our goddamn minds, but he wasn't wrong.
There were people at the bar on dates, and here Chris and I are wearing our baseball jerseys, eating eggs at 10:15 at night, talking about cards, even taking pictures of cards to sell. So yeah, that's
right. We actually did that. Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
There was a first date a couple bar stools down from us, and I like to think that talking about us got them through the awkwardness of their first date. You know,
like, what are these guys doing?
Yeah, what in the hell?
4 guys.
Why are they eating eggs? Why are they dressed like that?
All right, so next Burbank show is back in Ontario in February, which is I believe a smaller. I mean, I know it's smaller, but I think they're getting more space than they got last time in Ontario. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's 2 levels, but they only had access to 1 level last time.
Yeah, and it's back again in Anaheim next August. So overall, I would say it was a great experience. I had a lot of fun. It was great to meet the people that we got to meet, put some faces to the names of people that we interact with a lot on IG, get to talk with some dealers, get their perspective, some people from around the country. There was a dad and his sons that are dealers in Milwaukee that came out for the show. So it was fun to talk with them. Yeah. So overall, I would say I had a pretty positive experience.
I do, before we call it a night, I do want to share a very funny joke that we were told by Mama's Breaks. We went down to say hello to her. She was doing a very long kids trade day, which was a huge success, tons of kids. But
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for that kind of thing. So I'm really glad that, she was able to make that event happen. But we were talking about that video of people trading cards in the Marriott lobby at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And we're like, how do they have the energy for this? Like the show started at it started noon, and now it's been like 13 hours. They're still going. And she was like, it makes perfect sense. No wife, no girlfriend, like no kids, no car. Where are they going to go? Everything that sucks your energy and your money, like these people don't have. So, it just makes total sense that they can keep going.
It's a perfect storm.
Yes. Yeah. Into that kind of perspective, it made total sense.
That was funny. And we couldn't quite keep up with that group. We didn't go till 3 a.m. But what we did do was a lot of fun.
No, had there been a Dr. Scholl's booth, I might have had another hour in me.
Yeah.
But
or a bullet bourbon booth at
the show. Yeah. Had there been a Bullet or a Woodford booth,
yeah,
probably could have gone a little bit longer. Made some really bad. That $250 would not have lasted.
It would have been gone. Yeah. 50 of it would have went to the bourbon booth, and then 200 probably in I don't know,
some overpriced Acuna that I definitely didn't need,
or 89 Tops packs.
Oh yeah, there was we can get into this later, but the older junk wax pack stuff, some of the older wax people had, the prices were just, why is a pack of 1981 Fleer $10? What am I going to get in this pack?
Who was going to buy that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I dropped out by 6:30 Friday night. Yeah, I was there with you. Well, we stayed and did the trade night for a few hours after that, but yes, by Saturday we were shot. We ended early.
I appreciate the trade night. They had that DJ come in who was really pumping some music to try and keep people's energy up, and it definitely worked.
And Chris found us a perfect spot right next to the speaker, so it was right in our ears, and people were trying to talk cards with us, and it was just a lot of gesturing and just debating about prices.
We're doing the best we can when CNC Music Factory is just blasting at. Yeah, it was a middle school dance all over again. But more cards. Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We're gonna call it there. But I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Those of you who got to meet at the Burbank show, thanks for stopping by to say hi. It was a blast. I hope to see everybody again in Ontario in February and maybe back in Anaheim next year. But we'll see you guys back here next Tuesday. So thanks for checking out our big buy. We're very excited about this card. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good to add.
Okay.
Anything you want to add?
I think you summed it up perfectly.
All right. Good night, Aaron. Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Good night.